Hello friends, I'm Pam. Welcome back to Pocket Fields. It's been a few months since my last update, and I thought it was probably about time I showed you what the garden looked like. So we're going to do a garden tour today. I know, there's a lot of lush plants behind me, but we're not starting here because this is the best part, so I need to save it for last. We're going to traipse around to those garden beds in the front. Here we are. I planted these first. It was probably April. Everything was cold weather, cold hardy stuff, kale and beets and mustards. This is white Russian kale. And that is dinosaur kale. Over on the other side, there's more dinosaur kale. Right back here, and then right here, this is my favorite one so far. It's Dazzling Blue, and I got the seeds from Baker Creek, and I absolutely love the coloring on these. Apparently, when it's cooler, entire leaves will turn purple. It is not cooler. It's like 95 degrees every day and has been for the last 2 weeks, and it's been miserable. But I'll take this. When it was new, when it was still cool outside, of all of these kales, the Dazzling Blue was the sweetest one. It's absolutely delicious. It's having some bug problems now, and it's getting to the point where I might just pull it out and plant something else. My mustard has gone to seed. John and I discovered we don't love mustard a lot. It's okay. I had heard that the tatsoi was very sweet, and I'm not sure about that. I'll probably replant once we get cooler again, just to see, because everybody else seems to like it, and I thought it was bitter, and that's probably a temperature thing. As for the other mustard that's gone to seed, that is Egyptian mustard, and again, we thought it was bitter and not great, so I let it go to seed. It's to the point where I can actually pull it, and I will go and hang it upside down and let it finish drying. I'm going to collect the seed, and I'm going to make my own condiment mustard, and I'm actually really excited about that. Ridiculously excited. We didn't like eating the mustard. Again, like the tatsoi, we didn't think it was all that sweet, and I will probably try sowing it again in the fall. But I am really looking forward to making mustard and having it on bratwurst or something awesome like that. Over here, behind the mustard, I've got yellow cabbage collards, which are doing really well, and I think I've got enough here again to harvest and have them with my eggs in the morning. And then kind of hidden underneath, there's some beets that are not doing great. Back here on the other side, though, I planted lots of beets, and I used Charles Dowding, his method, multi-sowing. So all of these clumps have 3 or 4, I think I had one with 5 in it, and they're growing really well. Check this out. You see that one's got 5. So probably about time to pull out this chunker right here. That one's got 3. Oh, you see that one's a chunk. So these are a mixture of Golden Boy beets and Detroit Reds, and over on the other side I have some albinos. I wasn't actually sure we were going to like beets when I planted these. I had no idea. They're pretty and they're easy to grow, and they were growing in the cold, so I planted them. And it turns out John and I both like beets a lot, so I've got more started in the house, and I will be filling in some empty spots with those. But again, as you can see, this chunker, I'll pull them right out. Just grab a hold and twist. Oh, he's good size. Look at that sexy beast. Oh my gosh. And over here, I'm going to pull out one of these to make more room. And I'll come back through in a bit and grab a few more of those, because about 6 of them, John and I can dice up and have a really good side to a meal. Or, what I really want to do, I'm going to go in and cook some white beans later tonight. I'm going to dice up some of these beets, and tomorrow I'll take a salad to work, and it's going to be delicious. So this is my original big garden. This is the one that as soon as I bought this house 5 years ago, I ripped out a lilac bush and little rose bushes and lawn, and I tilled this under and made it a garden bed. It has not been my focus this year. It was really weeded over. It was not good. It was just not good. But I've been able to have my niece over to help me weed some things out about once a week for the past month and a half, something like that. She's been a huge help, and I've been able to get a lot done. So over here, see, I've got corn back there. That is a patch of glass gem corn, and they're spaced really close together as an experiment. The packet says you can space them 6 inches down a row. I've also got them spaced 6 inches between rows. So that is about a 4 foot wide bed, and it's 11 feet long, maybe 12. There's a lot of corn in there, and we're just gonna see how it does. I'm excited for the glass gem. Y'all have seen pictures. It's really pretty corn, and it's a popcorn, and I am obsessed with popcorn. This is a cuckoozy gourd growing up my cattle paddle trellis, or all around it. Something I absolutely love about this plant is that it's soft. Some days I just like to come out and touch it. It has been blossoming, and it's had its first female blossoms quite recently, so I'm hoping in the next week or two I'll be able to harvest something. This side was a fail. It was supposed to be succotash beans. It is nothing. That is a fail. It was supposed to be spaghetti squash. It is nothing. That is spaghetti squash. It needs to be trained up. I have this issue with squash a lot, and I think everybody does. It doesn't want to start climbing by itself. So I need to come out with some ties and just train it up. Cuckoozy squash too. Here, I've just got a couple of varieties of okra in the ground, and some of them are healthy. Looks like I've got one surviving Clemson spineless, and over there are some burgundy. I think they're burgundy. They're seeds I had from last year. I can't eat okra, but my husband likes it, so I'm gonna keep growing it for him. This is my row of gourds. I've got 4 loofah plants, only 2 of them, which are currently growing on a cattle panel, just because I meant to go get another one. I haven't had time yet. It's been a ridiculous spring, as I know it has been for everybody. So I'm pretty sure it's actually too late for these guys to do anything. The far trellis over there is birdhouse gourds. I don't know what I'm going to do with them. They just sounded like fun to grow, and here we are. There's nothing growing up the center. I know there's a watering line. I think I might plant carrots just for kicks and giggles. And then over here, I think that's a delicata squash, but everything else are cucumbers, and they're only just starting to take off. It's July. They should be farther along than they are. Cucumbers actually have a really short growing period, so I should get plenty off of this. I did manage to label most of my plants, so I can tell you what I've got, but my labels are melting because it's so warm outside. Anyway, I've got China long cucumbers, Baker Creek. They're new and supposedly super tasty. This next one is another China long. Usually I just eat my cucumbers fresh. My kitchen is non-existent right now, so pickling them is kind of out. I have this little unhealthy looking, I want to say punakira. I believe I got these from M.I. Gardner. You can get them from Baker Creek too. Again, they are just starting to actually do something. Even then, I don't know that they're that healthy. That guy died. I'll probably grab some seeds and replant, because again, cucumbers will mature pretty quickly. And this is a little potato cucumber. I grew him last year. He's like this big when they're mature. They're nice and sweet, and they look really funny. And they're really good. I need to plant more of these. These ones I absolutely love. How have I already been filming for half an hour? So now we're coming to the back garden. The side back garden, I have a lot of gardening spaces. So this little patch of corn is Montana kudu. It just so happens that I have the seed packet for this in my pocket. How pretty is that corn? I actually grew this last year and I absolutely adore it. It's good for parching, which, if you're unfamiliar with parching corn, it's a certain kind of corn that it works really well with, but you just put them dry into a pan and parch them just over like medium heat and toss them around and stir them until they're a little bit golden brown, and they'll pop a little bit, but not like popcorn does, and then they're just super delicious and just, I have no words. They're just super delicious. So yes, I'm growing more of this year. Last year I didn't get an amazing harvest, but again, last year I did not have the automatic watering system in. And again, I will never do that again. This unfortunate mess right here, that was fava beans. I thought they were gonna be okay, and then the bugs, and they were just destroyed. There might be a few that I can save. These were the fun purple ones from Baker Creek. I don't think I have that packet on me anymore, unfortunately. Grande Violetto, I believe, maybe. If it is, I butchered it. They all germinated okay. Then the bugs. I think a lot of that has to do with that. It's just weeds and goji berries, and we're making good headway on this. I will show you the other side of the weed wall, and you can see we've made really good progress. I'll have my niece come over. I don't know about next week. I'm working a lot next week, but the week after, and we'll try to make some more headway on this absolute mess. And then we'll pull out all these fava beans. I'll salvage what I can for seed, although looking at it, there's really not much. I mean, look at these. They've gone lacy. There's probably a couple of seeds in there I can save. I'll be able to save a few seeds, and I'll try those again. But this stuff will come out, and hopefully with those weeds gone, I'll be able to have a much better handle on the bugs that absolutely destroyed this crop. Holy crap. Holy crap. This is another little bed in desperate need of weeding. I pulled out all the pea plants a couple of weeks ago. I had green arrow and Lincoln peas in here, and for the record, the Lincolns did much better. We harvested, I think after we shelled them, it was like a gallon of peas. And that was from, you can see my archways, they fit in there, and those are probably about 3 feet wide. So, not bad. And then I planted in there this, which is a two silver edge squash plants. And over there is a bushel gourd plant. I don't think they're gonna have time to do much. Maybe the silver edge will. The bushel gourd, very unlikely, but it seemed a shame to let it die, so I'm just gonna let it go. And once all the weeds are out, it can grow that way. It has nowhere to go right now, so I really have to weed. Back over here, I had a lot of carrots. Most of them went straight to seed. I've never had great luck with carrots, but I think it's because of the massive change of temperature that we have. You can sow carrots, as soon as the ground is workable. So I probably planted them in mid-April, I want to say. And then May came and suddenly it was 90 degrees, so they all just went to seed. However, the ones that didn't, I just pulled this guy out. I think that they're gonna actually give me something, and I'm excited about that. And there are maybe a dozen in here, and then I'll probably pull them out and just try to plant more carrots. This one is an Amarillo carrot from Baker Creek. Last year, I'm pretty sure I got like 3 packets of these. This is the only one that I've picked so far. But you can see, there's maybe a dozen more carrot plants in there amongst the weeds. It's not amazing, but it'll do. And again, once they're out, we'll try replanting. I'm actually still working on this automatic watering system. You can see the black line. Yes, I'm pointing with the carrot. You can see the black line zip tied to the fence. I ran out of the plugs to go in the ends of the irrigation line, so I couldn't finish this. They just came in the mail, so I'll be able to. And then this is another section I'll just be able to turn on and let it go. Thank goodness. Meanwhile, I have to hand water all of these, and it's terrible. I'm going to show you these. They're double bloom petunias. I don't know exactly what they're called, but they're absolutely gorgeous. Like, I think that they look fake. They're so pretty. How gorgeous are these things? Their color's washing out more now that it's summer, but I still think they're maybe the prettiest flower in my garden. I don't grow a lot of flowers, there's not a lot of competition, but I just could not leave these at the store. These buckets, these 5 in a row, these are peanuts. Again, Baker Creek. I wish I could remember the variety. I need to get better about that. But I've never grown peanuts before. I was really excited when they started blossoming. Let's see if you can see that. They're pretty little yellow blossoms, and I know that once they're pollinated, apparently they send little things into the dirt, and I have not seen that happening yet. So as soon as I can actually get an eye on it, I will show you guys too. These 2 buckets are American flag leeks. I've never grown leeks before, but every soup recipe has leeks in it, so I figured I should probably at least try. If I like them, I will plant them in ground and grow more of them next year. I've got a couple of buckets of chard. Chard? Yes. This is a Rosa chard from M.I. Gardner, and that was a rainbow mix that I think that came from Sample Seed Company, which is one of my favorite seed companies. They're just little, and the prices are really good, and they're just good to work with. I'll just show you these while I'm over here. You remember those little chickens I hatched? 6 of them were girls, and 5 of them were boys, and the boys were delicious. That was my first time butchering chicken, and it was a learning experience, I'll tell you. But I had to. They were getting very loud, and the neighbors were getting... Actually, I don't know what the neighbors were getting. I never actually asked them. I just got rid of them as soon as I could after they started growing. This is the best part of my gardens. I think this growing space is only like, I don't know, 25 by 60, maybe? Probably not even that, maybe 50. But this is the one that I was working on in those videos I did way back in February. So I'll take you around. This is an experiment. I've never used grow bags before. Inside these grow bags, I have honey nut butternut squash. This is a miniature variety of butternut. I think they grow about yay big. They're supposed to be super sweet. I first heard about them on, I want to say it was a Bon Appetit YouTube cooking video where they were comparing little squashes. And these ones came in second, but I think the ones that came in first, the seeds aren't actually publicly available yet. So I went with these. That was fun. The camera overheated. I told you it's hot. It explains this that's going on. Anyway, we continue the garden tour. This year I decided to try something fun. I was going to take my summer squash and I'm trying to, not really trellis them, but I'm trying to tie them up a post as they grow. And so far so good. They're kind of small, so I don't know that that's saying much, but this is what it looks like. See, this one only has the one tie so far. And that one doesn't have any tie yet. It's probably to a point where I could. This is one of those points where I have to say, do as I say, not as I do. I did not thin these, and I really should still, but I can't bring myself to do it. I can't. There's two going up most of these posts. I did manage to thin one of the single ones that hadn't grown up much yet, and it will probably be much easier to take care of than these other ones. This one, you can see the tying up process really well. Just every little bit I go through, and this one's ready for it. And we'll just take this and tip it back and tie it to the post. And then we'll also cut off some of these lower leaves that are on the ground. That will leave it very clean. We'll be able to see any squash bugs on the ground. Hasn't really been an issue yet. But it keeps the squash from growing on the ground, and I really like that. It hasn't been a lot of work. As you can see, this is the one I've had to type the most, and it's only got 3 on it right now. I may have also planted them too close together on the posts. I think I'm at 2 feet. I think next year I'll probably go 2.5 at least, maybe 3. But, you know, it's all an experiment, and I'm still learning, and so far, I'm really liking this. It has kept them from sprawling all over the ground, and they would be doing that already. They just would. Further down this row, you can see I just transplanted these. Those are Brussels sprouts. I'll have to find the variety, but they have an 80-day maturation, so I'm hoping they'll do okay. They also, again, are spaced too close. I really need to not do that. I do follow a lot of Charles Dowding's spacings and his close planting ideas, and I love them. This I may have taken overboard. In the back there, there's nothing planted here, so I'm going to walk on the bed. This is a bit of kohlrabi. Again, something with a quick maturation that don't seem to be doing, that one's not doing well. Those are weeds. Don't mind those. And then you can see I have onions. I actually have onions all over the place in the garden, and there's reason for that. I read once somewhere that planting onions around your squash plants and other things like that would help deter bugs, and so far it seems to be working. I have had some squash bugs, but on these plants and on these plants I have had none so far. And I mean, the onions are the only thing that I've done different over here, so I'm thinking that must be it. I have had issues there, over there, with squash bug. And there are no onions over there. So that's my best guess. Anyway, this entire trellis is the same kind of squash. And these, hang on, there's one in here somewhere. Check out this guy. Oh, no. There we go. Check out that guy. Pretty good size, and I'm pretty sure it only pollinated like a week ago. There are squash all over this. And what these are coming down here into the shade. These are Lady Godiva pumpkins. They are a naked seed variety, and I absolutely adore pumpkin seeds. Really, any salty snack. So you can see, this has little bitty pumpkins all over it, and there are a couple more up here that are growing. I'm looking at so far, a really nice harvest if all goes well. They have to be convinced to climb the trellis, and I don't know if you guys have seen it. Facebook has been trying to sell it to me for months. It's the little gun with the staple and the plastic, and it makes it easy to tie plants to things. If anybody knows if that works, please let me know, or of a certain brand that works, because that would make my life so much easier with these squash plants and with the melon plants. I would pay good money for that, I think. These are spiky, and getting them tied up with the stretch tape that I've got sometimes results in rashes on my arms. Again, spiky. These ones were a bit smaller when they went in. That's why they're not as lush and beautiful as the other side. But, see, right there's a little baby coming. So these are coming along. I hope they're good size to be trellised. I thought that I read that they were pretty small. And I mean, you can trellis a decent size squash. Last year I did the spaghetti squash on the trellis, and I had a couple that were at least a foot long. And really the biggest danger was walking through the trellis and hitting your head on them. They never fell. They never looked like they were stressing the plant too much. So I'm hoping that these will do the same and everything will be well. We're gonna come around this side. These two, I'm not even going to try to pronounce the correct name. They are the pink warty peanut pumpkin thing. Y'all know what I'm talking about. It's made an appearance in stores over the past couple of years, and it's just a really funny looking pumpkin. My husband picked these seeds out, and I've planted them a couple of years in a row and always lose them to squash bugs. I haven't lost these yet, crossing fingers. I might need to come in with some onion sets and just plant them around, because again, that seems to be working. And since I always lose these plants to bugs, maybe that will help. This that's another do as I say, not as I do thing. I'm gonna have to move one of these trellises next year. These are way too close together. And I think I knew that as I was putting them up. I just like the idea of having them both here at the end of the rows. So these Lady Godivas, oh there, you can see, there's two good sized ones. Anyway, these Lady Godivas are intermingling with these Waltham butternuts. It's really easy to tell which is which because the Waltham butternuts are not nearly as sharp. They're not as soft as a gourd, but they're not as spiky as one of those pumpkin plants. So at least I can tell them apart. I'm not sure it really matters. It'll matter when I mark a couple of squash for seed saving. I intend to do little organza bags over the blossoms, just to keep it going. A couple of reasons. For one, and I guess it really wasn't an issue, but the Lady Godiva seed packet said that it was overpacked due to low germination. So I planted 4 seeds per cell instead of my usual 2, and they all came up. So low germination, not an issue, I guess. I also just like the idea of seed saving. It's just another good way to be self-sufficient. Over here on the other side, still a small and sad plant. Not sad, just smaller than the other ones. That's a red curry squash. Honestly, I chose to plant that one because I've seen pictures of it climbing trellises before, and I just think it's really pretty with the red squash hanging up in the air. It also says that it tastes good, so that's great. There are no onions next to this one, and I have had issues with squash vine borers, so this is the small amount of evidence that I'm going off of. and I will be looking for some more onion sets to hopefully take care of that. These starts didn't do incredibly well. I guess these 4 are surviving, which is lovely. These are Red Rock Mammoth cabbages, and next to those are, I don't know, big green cabbages. I'll find the seed packets and let you know. But they're doing pretty well. Those plants are, the big ones are at least 18 inches across. I need to do what Charles Dowding does. I'm going to pull the lower leaves. I haven't had a lot of issues with things on the cabbage yet, and I do say yet, but this garden seems to be overrun with potato bugs, or what else they call them, roly-polies, and earwigs, a lot of them. And I haven't seen a lot of aphids in the backyard yet, but I have seen them in the front yard on the kale, so I need to be proactive about that. This tiny patch of corn, tiny patch, it's 3 plants wide, and I don't know, 10 plants long, something like that. This is strawberry popcorn, and I got these seeds from a lovely person right after, quarantine started. They posted on a seed swap page I'm a member of, and just said, goodness, excuse me, just everything's fine. They just said that they had some seeds and wanted to spread some joy, and I needed some joy. So, strawberry popcorn. Like I've said, I am a popcorn freak, so I'm really excited about that. And that actually brings me to my next corn patch. These guys, currently as tall as my ribcage. These ones anyway. This is Japanese hulless popcorn. And again, I love popcorn. I'm very excited about this. No tasseling yet. I don't actually know how tall they're supposed to be. No idea. These are Bush King acorn. Oh look, I didn't even notice that was there earlier. No, you can't see. There it is. See? Baby acorn squash. I was planning on tying these up a pole as well, but they're really compact all by themselves, so I could never get anything around them to tie. Anybody who watches Roots and Refuge can probably take a wild guess as to what this entire trellis is. The entire trellis. I don't even know if I'm going to like them. You're right, this is Kajari melon. They are wild and they're taking over, and I'm doing my best to shove them back into the trellis. And again, this is something I really should have thinned, but I'm super excited about this. Check this out. See that guy? I don't know how long it's going to take for that guy to be ripe, but I'm very excited. And there are little ones all over the place. This trellis is again all melons, 4 different kinds this time. I wrote it down, so I'm not sure which is which now, and it will be evident when they get older anyway. But I planted a tiger melon and a Minnesota midget cantaloupe, and the plants look basically the same, except for one of them is having a really hard time getting going. Right there, cute little, just started blossoming though. And then there's this guy who's just starting to take off. No baby melons yet that I've seen. Nada? Nada. And then back this way, again, I'm not sure which side is which, but I've got a sugar baby watermelon, and this is a yellow midget? It's a little yellow watermelon. Or those are switched, I'm not sure. But, oh, yeah, look at that. This is the baby. It's so little. I don't know why I planted so much melon. I'm honestly not a huge fan. I think I just like growing things. These are one of my favorite things. It's a little bit dark. But these, for my best guess, because I don't actually know, I think they're Hopi purple string beans. The story is, I'm gonna sit down in the dirt. So the story is that there was a group from the local university, an anthropology group, and they went down to southern Utah. And in southern Utah, they were able to visit some old Anasazi ruins. In these Anasazi ruins, they found a big clay pot, and when they took off the lid, it was full of beans. So they took some home, and they planted them, and they grew, which is awesome. Story goes that one of those students was the son of a local nursery owner, and he planted a bunch that his son brought to him, and they grew and were prolific, so he sold them at his nursery the following year, where my dad bought a dozen beans for $1 a piece. He took them home, and my mother asked if they were magic. They weren't, obviously, but they were really prolific, and they put out these absolutely gorgeous red flowers. I'd say that they are early relations to a scarlet runner bean, but the beans themselves, even dry, are about yay big, and they cook up, and they're super both meaty and creamy, and they're so good. So my dad grew them for a couple of years, and then he packed the seeds away, just in a plastic shoebox in his closet. And when I bought this house, I went and I hunted them down, and I planted some, and I've been growing them here ever since. Last year's harvest was questionable, but based on how quickly these guys are growing, I think this year's gonna be just fine. Given the chance, they'll grow over 10 feet, and I think my trellis is currently only 6, so I may have to add some more to the top at some point. I'm also always just super amazed at how resilient beans are. I can come down here and show you. I told you, bug problem, right? These were eaten off completely, and they sent out tillers from under the ground, and this one is blossoming. Figure that one out. Oh, hang on, I gotta get this for you. This is horsetail, and it's basically the worst weed. No, I lied. Virginia creeper is the worst weed. Now I've got a few of these growing along here. Had really bad germination, but those are the Hopi purple sunflowers. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, out of, I don't know, 12.5 that I planted up back here, 4 of them germinated appropriately. So I started some in the house, and I planted those, and a lot of them are surviving, so that's good. So headed along the back, these two, this guy right here and back that way. These are blue Jaharadel pumpkins, and I just spotted my first female flower, so I guess they're actually growing. These were a free seed from Sample Seed Company. I had been looking at them, but I mean, you've seen this. I have so many different kinds of squash. I thought I didn't need one more. I was wrong. I think I needed these. This is a patch of lavender clay corn, and it's another good parching corn apparently, and since I do love parching corn and I like foods that are fun colors, I had to plant it. The entire packet germinated. There are extras in there. It's a really fast variety. I think we're at 60 days and it's tasseling, which means in another 20 we can try a couple for fresh eating, and then we'll let the rest dry on the stalks for future parching, and because it's really pretty. Down here, you can see, I just planted this trellis with violet potted pole beans from Territorial, and they're actually germinating really well. The water is not great on this end. Yeah, one's dead. The water's not great at this end, which explains that, but everything else, I think I'll have a really nice harvest there. And then these See this patch? That's a patch of cranberry beans, also from Territorial. I love the ones from Territorial, and I'll tell you why. It's because their speckling pattern is opposite every other cranberry bean seller you've seen. Instead of being cream with red speckles, these are red with cream speckles, and they're absolutely gorgeous, and they're really good. I'm glad it's looking like I'm going to get a decent harvest off of these this year. The first year I planted them, I'm still a little bit upset about this, a rabbit came and ate most of my sprouts, and it was too late to get new ones from Territorial, and I'll be honest, their shipping's a little bit high, so I went to Walmart and I bought a bag of cranberry beans there, the white with red speckles, and I got a decent harvest. But for these, I picked out all of the red ones, and that's all I planted, and they're doing really well. I actually picked one today, it's like yay big, and ate it off the plant, and at this age they just taste like green beans, and it was so good. That's a kind of sad patch of black kabuli chickpeas. There's one blossom. Hang on, I'm gonna try to zoom in on it. There it is. That is my one kabuli chickpea blossom. It's such a pretty color. I tried planting these last year and they all died, and as you can see, a lot of them died or are trying to die this year. But I think I may actually get a couple, and I'm excited about that. This really tiny patch, that's the double red sweet corn I got from my gardener, and like 2/3 germination rate, so not great, but the ones that are growing seem to be doing quite well, and it is the only actual sweet corn I planted. This is a row of pickling cucumbers that is really trying and really not doing very well, but there is a female flower on this plant, so again, I may get a couple. I've had to plant them a couple of times, and I mean, you can see they're not very big. They're supposed to be growing up the fence, and they haven't made it that far yet, so here's hoping. Honestly, I don't have a kitchen right now anyway, so I'm not sure it matters if I get any pickling cucumbers. Over here, I just planted some more radishes. I had actually planted some in with the fava beans, and they did really well. I'm planting these, again, Charles Dowding style, where I'm planting, 3 or 4 or something like that in a cluster, and just twisting them out as they mature. We really like our radishes pan-fried around here. I think they taste a lot like cauliflower, and I do love cauliflower, so it's good. Plus, they grow fast. These should be, if they don't die, giving us radishes to eat in about a month. And that's really fast and really satisfying. And then under the trellis, can you see them? They're tiny. There, and there, and there. Those are just the tiniest of cucamelon plants, and I'm not sure that they'll have time to actually produce anything before it gets cold, but we're gonna try. I actually tried growing cucamelons last year, and they got so close to actually producing. They got in the ground too late, and these ones probably did too. There's always next year, right? There's always next year. I think I only have the one last plant to show you, and it is this one. You can see both of his friends died. This is the Okinawan white bitter melon. I have not had great luck with him, obviously. I tried to germinate, I think it was $5 for 5 seeds, and I actually got 7. So I tried to germinate 3 in a bag with a paper towel, and you snip the ends with fingernail clippers, and it's supposed to help, and none of those germinated at all. So I took the last 4 and I put them in starter cells with dirt, and 3 out of those 4 germinated. So I hardened them off outside and put them in the ground last week, and thus far 2 of them have died. But this last one actually looks pretty healthy, so here's hoping. I am intrigued, very intrigued, by the supposedly cherry-flavored gel that forms around the seeds. That just sounds like fun, right? I think so. And now I'm sitting in the dirt again. With that, you've seen all of my gardens. I wish I'd been keeping up with these garden tours earlier in the year. I've harvested so many beets. I had an entire bed of Catarina cabbages, and they're adorable. They grow like this big. An entire bed of those. So right now my refrigerator's full of them. There's sauerkraut in my cupboard, and my husband is chopping them up and frying them for a meal at least every other day. I will be definitely starting more. They're so sweet and so good, and just the right size, really, for 2 people. So good. What else have I harvested? I told you about the peas. We just finished off the last of those the other day, and we'll be starting another round, I think in about 2 weeks. I'm going to plant more Lincolns, and we'll see about planting some other climbing peas on those empty trellises in the front yard. Have I harvested anything else? I have been harvesting these yellow squash. My favorite so far, and the only one that's been producing. They're called butter dish squash, and they're a hybrid, unfortunately, so I can't save the seeds. But they really do just taste buttery. They're so good. We had them in an omelet this morning, just chopped up in matchsticks and folded into the egg. It's just so good. I need to get my kitchen in order. We're in the middle of remodeling. I need to get it in order so I can share some food videos with you, because I'm gonna just keep talking about food. I love food. There's something about homegrown food that's just amazing. Right? Right. I've harvested garlic. I didn't do incredibly well. I think that I had shown you guys the bed months ago. And it did okay. I've got a little basket of garlic, and I'll save some to plant for next year. But we're going to try fermenting some of that too. It just sounds like a good thing to do, right? Right. I need to plant bush beans in the empty garlic bed. And probably other places too. Bush beans are one of those things that'll mature in 55 days, and hypothetically, I have 86 days. 86 days until my first frost, which is supposedly October 13th. I don't think it's waited that long in a few years. There's always at least one frost at the end of September that just kills off everything, unfortunately. Anyway, I'm really just rambling now. Thank you for joining me for the garden tour. I'm sorry I didn't post anything in 4 months.